Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Home Solutions. Hope everybody is having a fantastic week. I think we're finally safe to say spring is here. While I am still wearing long sleeves, that's just because I'm a wuss and I get cold. But other than that, hope everyone is enjoying a week of some decent weather and some temperatures that aren't worrying about us turning on faucets and heat pumps and everything else. So I've got a great show for you today. It's spring. It's time to start thinking about the outside of your house. And we're the only local home and garden show here in town. So thanks for tuning in to Home Solutions this morning. Dennis Purvis here with you live from the Mix 1041 studios. Before we get in there, remember, as always, we are brought to you by Pro 93 Home Solutions, your local friendly neighborhood general contractor. We are ready to go. We are raring up. We are staffed up and ready to take on this spring explosion. We've seen calls and estimates just picking up like crazy. You guys are definitely thinking about working on your home, no matter how big or small the project, from everything from remodeling to a kitchen and bath, maybe a basement finish. Maybe you want to build a standalone garage. Maybe you want to redo some outdoor space, whatever it is, all the way up to a custom build. We'd love the opportunity to earn your business. I'd love the opportunity to partner with you and your family on whatever it is. Give us a call, 458-4135, or check us out online, pro93homesolutions.com. Don't forget, too, we also have the clean team. Mary is ready to come out and give you a great estimate, always free, to do a little spring cleaning. It's that time of year. Get those baseboards, those windows inside, those things that you just don't have the time to get to right now. Give us a chance to come out and give you a quote, and maybe we'll be able to take care of that for you. Remember, we offer a green clean option at no additional charge using all natural Melaleuca products. Those products are great for folks that have either breathing issues, asthma, allergies, or just can't stand that clean smell of the ammonias and the chlorine. I can promise you, once you start with those products, you will fall in love with them. And they are absolutely just as effective as anything you'd buy off the shelf. And again, that's at no additional charge. So if that's something that's important to you, give us a call, 458-4135, or go to the Contact Us tab at pro93homesolutions.com. If you'll fill that out, that goes to all of us. We'll be able to get you on the schedule right away and give you a call and get something set up for an always free estimate. So there's your shameless plug. We'll get that out of the way. And I am excited today to have a buddy of mine. I've known him for a while, but I got to really get to know him here in this last year. Love the way he conducts himself, not just as a man, but as a business owner. Our business models and ethics are definitely in line with how we like to treat customers, and that we're here for the long haul and the relationship and not just the transaction. And folks, when you find out what he does for a living, you're going to understand why that's so important, because we all probably have a horror story about someone who comes and shows and knocks on our door and says, we'd like to give you a quote on treating your lawn. And let's face it, folks, when you've got a house, the lawns, it's the window dressing. It's the first impression. And if you've got especially if your neighbors have a good lawn and you don't, no one wants to be that guy on the block. So I've got the expert here. I tell people all the time, everybody thinks, he does lawn care. The guy's a scientist when you hear him talk. I have to look stuff up every time he tells me what he's doing. But I got Tucker Brown with Turf Scapes of Tennessee. Tucker, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Man, I'm glad you're here. Glad we finally got you in here. It's the perfect time of year for what you do. Yeah. So first off, just tell everybody, Turf Scapes of Tennessee, what it is you guys do.
Yeah, so we're essentially your outdoor specialist. We take care of everything, the health care of outside. We don't cut things, we don't mulch it, we don't trim it. I kill things and I grow things, to put it simply. But everything from, the outdoor is so diverse, biologically, and knowing the proper ways of the healthcare. How do I make everything look good? How do I make it healthy? That's what we do.
Yeah, and I can tell you, if you've seen if you go to their website, which website one more time?
turfscapesoftn.com.
Go on there. You'll be able to see some great pictures. They've got great explanations about what they do. It's actually, you got a really good looking website, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to revamp that a little bit, I believe, as well. So there should be some changes coming soon.
But I think the big thing you guys do is, you talked about the health of your lawn, mm-hmm. and I think a big part of that I don't think I ever thought about I mean, because it's not something you think about till you have a problem, you know. But when you and I were talking one day about, you know, just knowing what's going to grow where, and knowing what climate we're in, and knowing what time of year it is, and what kind of, you know, everybody may think, well, I want this kind of grass. Well, that's great, but here's what your lawn's going to look like for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
You know, how much of what you do is just education for customers?
For me personally, 99%. You know, welcome to Southeast Tennessee, where we can grow all grass equally bad.
That's fantastic,
and it's the honest truth as well. Here in the transition zone, you know, we got some nasty cold winters and we got some nasty hot summers.
Yeah.
And grass doesn't like those extremes. Plants don't like those extremes, and we get the best of both worlds.
So. Let's talk a little bit before we get too far into the weeds. See what I did there? See what I did there?
Nice.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your story. For folks that don't know, you've had a fascinating kind of life as young as you are. And first off, I'm just going to steal your thunder a little bit and just say thank you for your service. I know you are proud of your service that you did with the country, and I know I'm proud to be able to refer folks to a veteran-owned company. And if that's something that's important to you as you're listening out there, this is the guy you want to talk to, because he brings that work ethic and that kind of sense of honor to everything he does, not just as a businessman, but as a family man, as a man of faith. I mean, I couldn't respect you anymore for because I've known you for a while. I think I met you when you were like a teenager.
30 plus years.
Oh my good Lord.
I think I was 8 or 9.
God, I'm old. Sheesh. But just watching you grow up and watching, you know, what you've built, it's just, you know, it's hard not to be proud of you. And I say that just on a personal note without any part of business part of it. So, but watching all that, tell everybody about your story and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that. So born and raised in Cleveland, a graduate of Bradley High School. Shortly after high school, joined the military in the Army for a better part of 2 decades. 4 combat deployments as an infantryman, 2 to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan. Enjoyed every second of my service. And you know, I get asked a lot, would you do it again? In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Unquestionably, without a doubt, in a heartbeat. Been all over the world, lived all over the country, met amazing people. I have lifelong friendships that I met through the military, and it was a blessing to me to be able to be put into those positions and being able to do some of the things that I've done. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about and I love this story, so I'm going to make you talk about it. So you were in a pretty specific when you finished up, you were in a pretty select specific assignment. Tell everybody what your assignment was there at the end.
Yeah, our last duty assignment before we retired, I was stationed at Arlington, Virginia, at Fort Myer, which some of you might know is the home of the 3rd Infantry Regiment. It's the Army's oldest active duty infantry regiment, right there in the heart of Washington, where people are most familiar with the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Yep.
But I was blessed to be able to be in that S3 capability, and S3 is just kind of the operations aspect of a unit, to where, you know, I had sailors, airmen, Marines, soldiers, all kind of underneath my wing, and we got to do all the ceremonies. So when a foreign dignitary or a foreign leader would come into the States and they have a state reception at the White House, those were all my guys. I got to partake in some amazing ceremonies, met, again, some amazing people, Prime Minister of Japan, the Pope, presidents.
You met the Pope.
Yeah, it was kind of wild.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So the story I'm going to ask you about, because it just makes me laugh. So John Kerry, Senator,
Kerry.
Presidential candidate, Secretary of State, military guy himself, obviously decorated for some of his heroic deeds, I think, during Vietnam.
Yeah.
But he liked to make sure he was basically checking you guys out when he got a chance, correct?
Yeah. So on the west side of the White House, the steps that are going up the where the president goes up one side and all his staff and everything goes up the other side. We were stationed there for a ceremony, And I'm not a small human being.
No.
I'm 6'4" on a good day, and at the time was in a lot better shape. But John Kerry is also not a very small human being as well. I think I easily looked up to John Kerry. But as his staff was coming up that side of the White House on the steps, we were stationed there, standing in a position of attention, all dressed out in our dress blues, and John Kerry decided it would be a good time to shoulder check me on the White House steps.
Did you see it coming?
No, not at all. Unfortunately not. But again, military bearing, I recovered and stood ground. But what John Kerry didn't realize is I was a vindictive person. So the next ceremony, I picked my largest, most athletic, solid soldier that I had.
Not a guy you want to shoulder check for any reason.
A former D1 rugby player, to put it in perspective, and let him know that, hey, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's still, you can probably YouTube it on C-SPAN and find it. John Kerry decided to do the same thing to this soldier, and it did not work out well for John Kerry.
Let's just say he probably woke up the next day with a little shoulder pain.
Maybe some shoulder pain, maybe a little hurt in his heart, a little bit. No, that's a good story.
It's one of those. You can just see an old military guy who just wants to see if he's still got it.
He still got it. He didn't have it no more.
Yeah.
Not after that one, anyway.
I mean, he had to be in his 70s.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, easily. So, I mean, he's not a young whippersnapper. But, it's hard not to also respect the heck out of that because he's like...
Oh, I hope that, when the time comes and if I'm ever in a position to be able to check a young military soldier, I hope that I'm willing to do the same thing.
That's the thing. It's maybe where the ability might be there. The willingness definitely was. Yeah. So you come out of the military, retire out of there. How did you get to Turf Scapes?
Charlie Scoggins. Me and the missus had really prayed, for open doors because I was content on retiring. I was ready to fish every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But Charlie Scoggins had a previous company called Greenscapes. He operated that for over 20 plus years, extremely successful, and sold that in 2012. Well, it just coincided with my retiring in 2017 and Charlie starting Turf Scapes of Tennessee. And he called me and said, hey, I want somebody to run this with me this time. I was, for lack of a better word, ignorant when it come to anything outside.
Yeah.
Was definitely not my forte.
Not a lot of lawn care needs in the service.
No, especially in Iraq and Afghanistan. There wasn't, not too much health care for the lawns going on.
No.
But Charlie brought me under his wing. I absolutely fell in love with the science behind everything that we do, and ended up going back to school for it. And we have been snowballing it ever since. And I was fortunate enough to be able to put Charlie into retirement.
There you go. Now he can fish every day.
Now he's hopefully fishing every day. He's doing well though. He's enjoying it. And yeah, we've been snowballing it.
Nice. And guys, if you haven't seen, take a look. You'll see their vehicles out. You'll see them all around place. You'll see their lawn signs everywhere. It really has been fun to watch you grow this thing. Before we're up against a break. How can they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, through the website is probably the easiest way, but you can also call our office at 423-333-6015.
There you go. Listen, we come back. We're going to get into some of that science. We're going to have him show off a little bit with, he can be the science guy of your yard. But for all you guys, I promise you, stick around. Don't touch that dial. You're going to love what he has to say. You're going to get, I guarantee he's going to have some tips for you as a homeowner about what we can do and things. The big thing I've learned is what not to do. So just hang in there. Don't touch that dial. Where you've been listening to Home Solutions right here on Mix 104.1 and 101.3 The Buzz.
Are you tired of going to YouTube or Google for answers to your home improvement questions? Maybe you have more projects than you have time. No matter where you are in the process, Pro 93 Home Solutions is ready to serve you. Pro 93 is a local, veteran-owned company offering residential and commercial remodeling, cleaning, and security. Contact us today at 458-4135 or online at pro93homesolutions.com. Let the pros at Pro 93 find the solution for your home or business. That's 458-4135.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Home Solutions right here on Mix 104.1, 101.3 The Buzz. Dennis Purvis in studio here. Got Tucker Brown from Turf Scapes of Tennessee here. We're going to start talking about the health of your lawn. Now, before we get going, just a quick reminder for what they don't do. They're not there to cut your lawn. They're not there to trim your bushes and your hedges and all that stuff. What they're there to do is to make it look and grow and feel better. And it's crazy to think about that, but everybody has seen that sad, sad yard, and I hope it's not yours. Somebody's got the worst lawn on the block. You don't want it to be you. So, first off, let's talk. You said before something in the first segment of, Tennessee's a great place to grow every grass badly. When you go out to see somebody's yard, what's the first thing you're looking at? How do you guys make that first assessment? What's kind of the checklist you guys go through when you're looking?
Culturally, how is the yard situated? Is it north facing? Is it south facing? How much shade do they have? What is their potential for water runoff? And then, we can start diving into all those things. Let's look at your soil profile.
Yeah.
Let's see exactly, do you have topsoil? Which most likely, unless you've brought it in Southeast Tennessee, you don't have topsoil.
And if you live in a subdivision, if you wonder if I have topsoil, you don't. You have chert, you have backfill, you have all kinds of things, but you don't have topsoil. Yeah. I can tell you that. So when you're looking at those things, what's most folks, I'm assuming, are calling because they've got either patchy grass, weed control. How do you guys go about assessing, and kind of helping educate folks to what it's going to take? I know there's a ton of science behind it, but what do people need to look for? I guess is my question. When do they need to call you?
You should have called me 3 months ago. But honestly, Dennis, there's no better time to start on your lawn care than now. Especially this time of year, spring. New beginnings.
It's biblical.
It's
a season. Everything there is a season.
We might get into that a little bit.
Come on.
But yeah, now. But the biggest thing for us is really it's expectation management for where we are. Can we make a gorgeous lawn? Yes. Can I do that tomorrow? No. It's a marathon, not a sprint, in order to have that lawn that you expect to see, on magazines, that golf course quality lawn. It's definitely a time consuming and, fortunately for me, a full-time job.
Yeah. So, what are the biggest problems you see in our area? What are the most common kind of things you see that you're going to have to address when you get to somebody's house?
Yeah, it's, going into those cultural aspects. If I can tell going onto a property that it doesn't have great airflow, and they have a cool season lawn or a fescue lawn, with our summers that we have here, the high humidity, frequent afternoon thunder showers, those fescue lawns are going to experience most likely a fungus. That pathogen is called Rhizoctonia solani. Most people know it as brown patch.
There you go.
And I know we're on radio, but the dumbfounded look on your face right now kind of says it all.
Here he goes again.
Here we go.
Here is the science. He's speaking Latin.
But kind of the expectation of knowing I have this type of grass, this is the issues that I have to look for, and this is how we prevent it from happening or treat it when it does happen. And so just really educating the customer on the full aspect, and again, that expectation management is where our biggest battle comes into.
And I think that's the expectation management. But I guess the good thing about your job is that the results are going to speak for themselves. You know, and it's, if you've done your kind of due diligence up front with the soil profile, knowing what they're at, knowing what they've got, and maybe what they need, it's going to be something that it's either going to work or it's not. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those issues as a customer. It may not happen as fast, if I'm hearing what you're saying. It may not happen as fast as you think it needs to, but it's going to happen.
Yeah. And cut you off, if I see it and I don't think that it can happen for where you are and what your yard allows, I'm going to be completely upfront and honest with you, and I'm not subject you to spending some hard-earned money on something that you're ultimately not going to have.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want anybody throwing good money to bad. I mean, They're never going to. That's the fastest way to a bad review, bad word of mouth, and this is a small town, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't conduct business that way and get away with it very long. So, one thing I can never keep straight. types of grass.
Types of grass. Yeah.
Fescue, I think, is probably what the most common around here. Is that what I don't know.
Yeah.
I just hear fescue a lot when you go buy seed. It's what seems to be on the front of all the shelves.
Yeah. As of right now, fescue is probably our most dominant in Southeast Tennessee. Bermuda, those warm season grasses are definitely in the uptake. You see a lot more of the newer subdivision builds that are going in. Most of those contractors are putting down Bermuda. But really, here where we are, we have 3 options. Turf top tall fescue, Bermuda, and zoysia. And all 3 of those can do fairly well. Each one has their own challenges for them. For instance, Bermuda and zoysia, they like 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight a day. So again, going back to those cultural things, if your property doesn't allow that, those are probably not great choices for a turf grass for you.
Yeah. Which one of those are going to be brown in the winter?
So your warm season grasses are what goes dormant, and they don't die. Let's clarify that. They're not dead in the winter. They're simply asleep, for lack of a better word. They're dormant. So all that photosynthesis processes stop happening.
Yeah.
And that color, that green, comes out because those plants are in a dormant state. But your Bermudas and your zoysias, your warm season grasses, will have that brown look throughout the winter.
Do you think that's why fescue's become popular around here, is because it doesn't brown out as much?
No, I think fescue, climate-wise, and we are getting some warmer summers in, but climate-wise, fescue was always the best option.
Gotcha.
It was a little too cold in the winter for Bermuda to thrive. You can still have a lot of winter injury. With Bermuda and zoysia if the winters get a little too nasty.
You bring that up. This is something you said just a couple months ago when we first got that first cold snap. And I mean, when we got the one that was like 8 degrees. Don't walk on your lawn when it's frozen.
Yeah, no, especially for fescue turf. Bermuda, those warm seasons, the ones that are dormant, not so much because, again, that leaf tissue is in a dormant state. But fescue, who doesn't ever truly go dormant, it can slow down. All those cells inside that leaf tissue, when it gets that cold and they freeze, and you can bust those cells. So I could show you pictures of where just purposeful footsteps going through a fescue lawn, and it looks like it's just been intentionally killed out from those frosted steps.
Yeah, like you see, it's like footsteps. You can see the path.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy to me. You never even think about that. Yeah, you said that in a meeting we were at a couple months ago, and I was like, oh my Lord, I do that all the time. And I have since stopped. I was like, I'm going to kill my grass. I'm doing all this. So next thing I think people think about is weed control. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's the most common things we see around here, common issues, and what do you guys do to solve that? Yeah,
no, absolutely. So probably our most common, which people see most frequently, is the clovers and the dandelions. Those clovers, those lagoons, they're a bunch type of weed. They can spread through seed, through rhizomes as well. So they're very aggressive. But the clovers and the dandelions, they're fairly easy to get rid of. But once we start getting into some of our summer annuals, our nut sedges, our African wild violets, and those are bulb plants, meaning a pre-emergent that you put down on the turf is not going to stop that plant from coming back up. There are tougher battles, but probably I guess my nemesis, our nemesis is Dallas grass.
Okay.
Dallas grass is a perennial summer plant, so it doesn't come back up from seed every year. It can, but it actually comes back from plant. And there's not a selective way of getting Dallas grass outside of fescue without also killing the fescue grass around it. And even then, it's a 50-50 shot. We can do things to slow it down and limit it, but there's no such thing as eradication when it comes to weed control.
So if it's one of those things that's plant, and is it just the wind? Is it just how does it get there?
So Dallas grass seed specifically can lay dormant for decades.
Oh my Lord! So
and until it hits the right temperature, the right moisture level, the right amount of sun, it's going to lay there and chill as a seed until it's like time is now.
It's time to go. It's time to go.
Wind can blow those in. Mowers can track those seeds in.
Oh yeah.
Bird droppings So
yeah,
our lovely birds, can be a huge source for weed content.
So so we've talked a little bit about the lawn there, but you guys also have a couple things that I've heard you talk about, seen on the website. You guys will help with like basically the land as far as the landscaping, other items, trees, bushes, shrubs. You guys can help treat those to kind of help the life of those as well.
Yeah, we do some the ornamental. So we stay away from the natives.
Yeah,
our big spruces or our big pines. That's not really in our wheelhouse. But your ornamentals. We have a great fertilization, insect, and disease control plan. For your flower beds, those ornamentals that are in your flower beds, plus a ornamental bed weed control. So if you're tired of getting on your hands and knees and pulling and get rid of weeds, we can take care of that for you as well.
All right, and let's talk about my nemesis as a good Irishman who is fair-skinned, and apparently I am delicious to mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. I have more citronella and tiki torches around my house than I should. Talk to us about mosquito control.
Yeah, and that's a touchy one for me specifically. The best thing that a homeowner can do is get rid of all the standing water.
Yeah.
And especially if you're next to a woodland, you're probably got some stumps back there that are really harvesting water and just making perfect breeding grounds. Clean your gutters, make sure those old barbecue grills and covers are water free. And then we offer a monthly service. We can come in, spray everything down. It's a contact, so that mosquito has to land on something that's been treated in order for it to become effective. There's not a magic cloud that hangs in the sky.
It's not a force field.
Not a force field. But
have you seen effectiveness with it though?
I have.
I know you well enough to know that you're not going to, if you've put it on a lawn for a customer. Mm-hmm. It's something you've tested personally.
Yeah, everything
you have it's got your seal of approval. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Everything that we put down on a property or have the ability to put down on a property, it's all tested beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't believe anybody until I've got my hands on a product and I've tested it and I've seen how it works. I'm not going to.
And that's not. And so when you say test, we're not talking about some lab in Colorado tested it. You personally have tested it to make sure that it's effective as it says it is.
Yes, absolutely. Whether that's on my personal property, we have some testing grounds at our shop that we'll test every single product that goes out. We'll make sure that it does what it says it's going to do, or I say what I know it's going to do.
One of the things I know people are concerned about anytime you talk about chemical treating is pets. Mm-hmm. How is that something you have to take into account, or do you got? Or I don't know the answer to this. I'm just asking a blind question. Is your applications safe for pets?
They are.
Pets?
So every product that we apply has an EPA registration number on it. So. And it's comforting for me because I know billions and billions of dollars have gone through with FDA, EPA testing to make sure that these products that we put out are safe. We do ask that after a treatment, that people or pets aren't allowed back onto the property or back into the turf until that product is dried. Typically, that's 20 to 30 minutes after application. So, and from there, you can get down, roll in the grass. Having the kids back out there playing. Completely risk and worry free.
Well, there you go, folks. One more time, how do they get a hold of you?
423-333-6015 or at turfscapesoftn.com.
Tucker, thank you so much for being here today.
Man, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Listen, it's been a fun one. I hope you guys learned something today. Look at us taking everybody to science class, little school. So when you get home from wherever you're at, no matter how you're listening, and you pull in the driveway and you're like, my lawn needs help, you know who to call. Give Tucker, a local guy right here who's building a business, and he's ready to come help you. Listen, folks, we appreciate you listening today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll wave to everybody on Facebook up there. We forgot about you guys today. How you all doing? But listen, remember to go home and love on your family, love on your neighbor, and remember, we're all in this together. We'll see you next week. You've been listening to Home Solutions right here on 104.1 and 101.3 The Buzz.